Hey, this is not the Girl Next Door show, and today I have a very special guest. I have Greg Upchurch, as you know, is from the band Three Doors Down, and he's going to be talking to us about his new single, Skin to Skin. How are you today, Greg?
I'm fantastic. Sun is shining in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm healthy. So and my family's healthy, so it's about as good as I could ask for. How are you?
Definitely, I completely agree. It is here. I'm in Illinois, and it is here too. The sun is shining, and everybody is
good,
healthy as we can be too. So we are here today to talk about your new single you have out, Skin to Skin. But first, before we dive into that, I want to get a little bit of history on the man himself, Greg Upchurch. Tell us, how did you get started in music? What are some of your musical inspirations? Tell us the beginnings.
Well, it's kind of a good fun story. I'm from a little bitty town in Oklahoma, middle of nowhere. One red light, about 1,000 people, and I wanted to be a rock star. I was always into music. I mean, since Kiss and Queen and everything, and out of when I moved or graduated high school, a couple of years go by, I moved to Los Angeles. But what's kind of a funny story is, do you remember Beavis and Butthead?
Yes.
Okay. Well, like a couple of nights before I moved to LA, drove to LA. I saw the band 11 on Beavis and Butthead, and I was like, I liked the song, but they were ragging on it as they do. And then later that night, I saw the video on MTV on 120 Minutes, and I liked it. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna buy that cassette on my way. So I bought like that cassette and the Elvis Costello, and I wore that cassette out on my drive. It took 2 days to drive from Oklahoma to Hollywood or North Hollywood.
Sure.
And I got a job at Guitar Center on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. And I was working in the drum department, and Alan and Natasha from the band walked in there after I'd been working there. I'd probably lived there less than a year. And I was like, oh, my God, that's the band 11. And so I started a conversation with them, and they're looking in the drum department. I'm a salesman. I'm like, hey. And I found out that their drummer had left and joined Pearl Jam.
Oh, my goodness.
And so I was like, well, I know your songs. I'm a huge fan. I would love to get, I'm like 24 years old from Oklahoma. I mean, green as could be, no cool factor at all, country accent. And she was from Alan and Natasha. She was from Moscow, and he was from Chile. And so, but they looked like rock stars. They, it was L.A. They lived it.
Yeah.
And they called me a couple of weeks later, and I went down and auditioned and got the gig. And the next thing I know, we're touring with Soundgarden.
That's amazing.
It was crazy because I can put it in a time frame because I remember I was setting up I was in a cover band in Oklahoma City when the White Bronco O.J. Simpson chase happened. I remember watching that. And then I was on tour opening up for Soundgarden when they read the verdict. That's how long or how quick that happened.
That is amazing.
And I didn't know anybody in LA. I mean, one guy who I stayed at his apartment. That was it. And just all by chance, by putting yourself out there. And then, obviously, I did that tour, and then we did some touring. We did a record, and then, Soundgarden broke up, and Chris ended up writing some songs with Alan and Natasha in the band I was in. And then he recorded Euphoria Morning at their house, and I played the drums on that, and I played the drums on all the touring. So he was basically hired our band to be his band. And for almost about a year and a half, I toured, playing shows with him every day. It was surreal. I mean, I was like, he was never not a rock star. He never lost that star quality. I mean, even though he was friendly to me, I mean, we hung out and we watched movies and basketball games and things in the bus. But it was still, you never could look over there and not know, like, holy crap, that's Chris Cornell.
Right.
It was always that way. but we did that tour, and we were actually going to start a band after we finished that record. He wanted to form a band with us, and there was no name or anything. And then something kind of happened, and we found out later that, Audio Slave happened, and we were like, oh, no. That killed it. I mean, imagine I'm 25, 26 years old, and I'm going to be in a band with Chris Cornell. I mean, and all of a sudden that's gone. It was devastating. So we did another tour on our record with 11, and then I ended up going, I got this audition for this band, Puddle of Mud. Nobody knew who they were at the time, and they were a new band, and Fred Durst was behind it, Danny Wimmer, and I met all of them, and so I ended up auditioning for that band because I saw that, there was, knowing what I knew at that time, it takes money to be successful in the music business.
Yeah.
You just can't, you got the promotion and all the stuff that is involved with it. And I saw when they were flying people from New York, they had me come in for a second audition, and they had management people from all over the country coming in for this drummer audition. I'm like, what is going on? I mean, it was like American Idol, and I'm like, for somebody I've never heard of, so I'm like, this band is going to be successful. I knew right then and there. I was like, there's no way. So I really wanted that gig. So I got the gig, and Alan and Natasha and 11, they joined Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh,
so
okay.
I went to Puddle of Mud. And then, I don't know if you've ever seen, there was a girl playing keyboards with them for a while, brunette girl.
Yeah.
That's Natasha. I was in the band with her. And Alan, and then she passed away about 10 years ago, maybe a little just over that. And he ended up, Alan played with Them Crooked Vultures, which was, Josh Homme, Dave Grohl, and John Paul Jones. He was the, if you ever saw them live, there's 4 guys on that stage. He was the 4th guy that everybody's like, who's that guy? Well, that's Alan.
Okay.
He's a genius. But anyway, I did the Puddle of Mud thing, and obviously that, took off fast, just like I thought it would. Just because, like I said, knowing what I knew, I was like, that's going to be, I knew that was going to work, And then in the time, too, I mean, with rock music, when it was Linkin Park was new, brand new, just coming out, there was some stuff going on. I mean, there was a market for it. Unlike right now, which is rock music's in a weird space, I think. It's kind of weird. I'm not sure what's going on. So music in general, I think, like, you can say that about any genre, really.
Yeah.
It's just, especially, it makes me feel old. I feel like my dad or my mom, like, listening to that heavy metal music, But, I was in Puddle of Mud for 4 years when they started in 2000 to 2005, actually. 2001 to 2005. And then I ended up leaving Puddle of Mud to go with 3 Doors Down, just for the simple thing is the fact that as a musician and being in bands to band, it wasn't like I was loyal to one band. Like I started some band with my buddies in high school.
Right.
I've been like this, drummers are kind of like that. We can go from band to band, and then hardly anybody knows it. It's not like lead singers, obviously. So I just saw that, my goal in life is to see how long can I do this for a living? How long can I, because has nothing to do with how good you are, really. I mean, of course, it'll keep you there once you get to the, you need the opportunity. But, it's about the people that the connections that you make, the networking, but so is life, as you know what I mean?
Of course.
So, so that's, I just saw, like, and of course, Wesley was kind of a crazy man, as everybody all knows, well documented. But of course, I go with 3 Doors Down, and it turns out they're just big drug addicts. And 3 Doors is Puddle of Mud. So I'm like, okay, well, usually what I found out is the cleaner the band you image, the more there's some stuff back there. It's like the real guys, the guys that you think are drug addicts are the guys that are on a golf course. That's usually how it works. But anyway, that's kind of my story in a nutshell as far as my musical career.
So you mentioned Kiss and you mentioned Queen. Were those some of your early influences in music? Like, what made you decide, you know what, obviously now with the single and this project you're doing everything, but what made you decide to want to drum when you said, you know what, that's what I want to do?
I don't ever remember picking it. It wasn't like I sit there, which instrument am I going to play? Because I want to be a rock and roll guy, you know. It was, you know, I just gravitated towards it. I think kids also gravitate towards drums because it's easily, you can see it, you understand it.
Yeah.
He's banging on this thing with sticks, and it makes that noise. I hear it. Guitar, there's like all these finger notes and moving around. Not sure what's going on there. And so I'm sure I was able to pick up a couple of wooden spoons, and I've always been doing it. There's pictures of me as a child, barely walking, banging on stuff. And I've always had makeshift drum sets before I got a drum. I had boxes and cardboard boxes I made, and and I listened to my Kiss records, and I thought I was in Kiss. I'd close my eyes. I was practicing in my head, So, but it was definitely Kiss at first, and then I heard Queen, and then I was like, oh, wow, what's this, And then that kind of opened me up to, like, well, what's this Led Zeppelin? What is this Aerosmith record? What is this? And then I had older brothers and sisters that were, like, 10 years older than me, 10 and 15 years older than me. They had all these cool records that I could go listen to, So that was, I don't know, I just fell in love with it. But I never, the older I got, I was, like, more of a metalhead. But I never discriminated towards any style of music. Like a good melody or a good catchy hook is a catchy hook.
Right.
I never was like, there was a moment, when Pantera and all that stuff, I was like, no, it's got to be rock. And then, but no, I mean, I pretty much like anything as long as if it's good.
So then, let's fast forward to now. Have you always been able to play a multitude of instruments? Because on the new single, you do it all.
Well, I mean, I've always played guitar. I mean, I've never taken lessons or anything, but
self-taught with that.
Yeah, pretty much. I never took drum lessons. I've never taken guitar lessons. I've never taken a music lesson. But I did get a scholar. It's funny is I got a full scholarship in music to a university in Oklahoma.
Oh wow!
But I quit to move to LA. But I mean, I was learning how to read music, but no, I never took any lessons. But I just by picking it up and figuring it out, looking, there wasn't any YouTube back then. I couldn't Google it, so to speak. So I had to just kind of mess around with it. But I've learned through the years of like songwriting crafts from being around people like Chris Cornell on 11 and Polo Mudd and 3 Doors Down. I've learned and I've picked up on stuff, and I think for a long time I was trying to write songs for specific artists in mind, or something like, okay, it's got to be a song for 3 Doors Down, or it needs to be a song that Polo Mudd would do. Instead, like this time I wrote a song, I was like, I'm just going to write a song that without any of that, just write a good song. Is it catchy? And then as far as recording myself, I had to because, I mean, we're in quarantine.
Right.
Basically, we were home quarantine, so I can't get anybody to go in there. I'm like, well, I'll try it. I've never tried to sing before, and record all. I mean, like I said, I can play guitar, but like when you plug it in and you hear all the little mistakes and little things, you're like, whoa, okay, I thought I could play this thing, but you're picking up all this stuff with this mic, So it took a little bit of getting used to, but I found just be confident with it. And that's just, and then it happened so fast I didn't have time to overthink it, like we've had people like friends of mine like, wow, the production, the mix sounds great. It's like, we did the thing in 2.5 days, basically.
Oh, wow.
I mean, everything. And that's including the video, and so it's like, it was funny. The whole thing was like $30.
So were you just sitting there one day and decided to write it because these were the thoughts going through your head? Because let's talk about the single. I mean, for those listeners that haven't heard the song, talk about what it's about. I mean, it's obvious what it's probably inspired by, but did you just decide to sit down and write your thoughts about how you were feeling about what was going on, or were you like, how did it work for you?
I was actually in the process of opening up a coffee shop in Oklahoma. I was going to start my own business. I own a building, actually, the property. My mom gave it to me. And it's like I said, it's in that little one red light town. And I love it down there. It's on a lake. It's peaceful. And it's crazy enough, Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton have a house in town, of all things.
Oh, really?
There. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But it's on a lake, so it's kind of like a nice, cozy country town. But I was in the process of, I had it all lined up. I was ready to go and then I was down there finalizing everything, and the South by Southwest was happening, and they just canceled it. We saw it in the news when I was there. I was like, that's crazy. I'm like, I wasn't expecting that. That was the first time I'd seen something here, like, we're closing stuff. And
yeah, I don't think a lot of people did. I think it was a shock to everyone.
Right. So I was kind of like, wow, okay. So I went back to Nashville, and then, like, that was 3 days later, and then everything was it was getting bad. It was like, brace for it, folks. Here it comes. So my whole investor, everything kind of fell through. He's like, well, let's, hold off. We're not going to do anything. Now's not a good time to start a business,
Yeah.
Obviously.
Definitely.
So I come home, and that's bumming me out. And then I'm like, well, when am I going to play a show? Like, when am because we were supposed to start a tour in Europe in June, do the Download festivals and the Rock and Ring, all the big festivals, and then come here and do a tour for July, August, September, October. I'm like, well, what's going to happen with that? And obviously now everything's kind of wiped out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, obviously I was in a pretty, I didn't know what to do. I mean, I was kind of like, what am I going to do? I mean, I was frustrated. I was scared, like everybody else, everybody in the world. And then my buddy who rents a room in my basement, he's an engineer friend of mine and he's like, you should write a song. Maybe it'll help. I'm like, all right. So, maybe the next day or whatever, I was up here and I just wrote that song in like 20 minutes. Just about, basically, how it started was I'm looking out the window and my son, who's 14, we live in this neighborhood and it's full of kids. All his buddies live here. And there's nobody outside.
Yeah.
And that's how the first line of the song is, I look outside, and from his perspective, there's nobody to play with.
Right.
And he's not in school. It's like, it's a beautiful day. All the cars are here. Nobody's outside. It was weird. It just felt weird. The energy was weird. And so I just started writing that. I wrote all those lyrics in about 15, 20 minutes. I mean, everything. It was done. I mean, it was the easiest song I ever wrote, just because, like I said, I wasn't thinking about writing it for anything other than I'm just going to write a song about how I feel. And I was like, because the verse is just one note that just drones on and on and on, right? That's all. It's kind of weird because there's no. I know it's weird. My concept, my idea was like, it feels like the days just like we're just living in this hovering space now.
Yeah.
Like we're just not moving forward. We're not moving backward. We're just kind of floating through time in a way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like I wanted it to sound like that. So that's all I had to kind of go on. Like, okay, I'm going to do something like with that in mind. And then, like I said, we went and recorded it, and I'm like, I wasn't going to put it out. I wasn't going to release it. And he's like, you should put it out. What the hell? I'm like, well, I've never done this before. I don't know how to do it. So I just went and, like, we started talking to friends of mine who put out their own songs on, they're like, yeah, it's easy. Just do this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay. And I did that, and then, next thing you know, I think it was a shock to people that knew me that didn't know, never heard me sing, because nobody has never heard me sing.
Right.
So that was shocking. I think that seemed like they were like pleasantly surprised. Like, I can't believe this is you singing. And I'm like, well, that's a good sign for me, because if it sounds good to you, then that's great. So I just went ahead and put it out, and then I've called a few friends of mine and that are helping me kind of promote it, and then call in favors to friends of mine on radio stations and say, hey, man, just play it whenever you can. See if you get it, what kind of feedback you get from it, just to see. And then the YouTube, I put being able to put something on YouTube now and get it out there so anybody can see it. So that's, just when I was writing my own songs on a 4-track, there wasn't any way to distribute it other than a record label.
Right.
So this is I know it's been around for quite some time, but I'm new to the game. I've been playing drums, been the sideman for a while, so I was like, well, what a better time than to try to do something when I know that I've got a lot of time on my hands.
Well, and did it end up being a therapeutic process like you wanted it to be, to kind of get your mind off of things?
Absolutely.
Definitely good.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, I'm talking to people like you. I did an interview earlier today, and it's something it's exciting for me. And I love, who doesn't like to hear people that appreciate what you do?
Definitely.
I mean, that's one of the best, prideful things we have is, it's not really so much ego, it's just like confidence. Like, okay, I continue to do this. I'm not making a mistake. People like it. So I need to try to be better at this and do more of this. So that's been an eye-opening thing where it's like if I wouldn't have done this, I don't know what I would be thinking and going through right now, because I still want to do the coffee shop, but I still don't know when that's going to happen. I want to do the touring. Obviously, I don't know when that's going to happen. All the uncertainty, one thing I can control is I can make music, and I can put this out. I just did this. And I can do this in my home. I'm doing this interview from the safety of my home.
And that is so positive. That's a positive outlook, and it helps you, it helps other people. So, because it's so relatable. Everybody's going through the same thing. No matter what you do, everyone's going through the same thing right now. So those lyrics and those words are describing what hundreds, thousands of people are thinking right now. They feel the same way.
It was pure accidental, just kind of like happenstance. Really, just like this, but everything in life is kind of like that, obviously. Like the universe put me in this direction for whatever reason.
Definitely. The stars have aligned correctly for you in this whole music thing.
Right. It gave me it's like the words and the melody just came out of thin air, really. So I'm just kind of started singing that. That's what I just started singing, and I was like, okay. And it was almost like, I've told people before, it's almost like God gives you a couple words and said, here, see if you can do anything with this, or whatever you believe.
Definitely.
But those words come from someplace out there. And then after that, once you get it, like, hey, this is what the song is about. This is how the rhythm goes. This is how the melody goes. So, and then the words, and then all I had to do was sing about my day, basically, how I felt. Because I was like, when is the next time everybody in the world is going to be able to relate to the same subject and feel the same way? I don't ever recall this happening.
Well, and that's what makes for the best lyrics. It's relatable that everybody's feeling the same way as you do.
Yeah, it's not like and I don't say COVID-19 in it. I don't say, face masks and all this stuff.
Of course.
It's not about, the song's not about that. It's about just like, yeah, I'm frustrated too. We're all frustrated, but we've got to, we're going to be better for this because of this. We'll be better as a society, as a race, I think, and and that's kind of, we have to remain hopeful.
Well, and then it's good because what it does is it's relatable in a sense where people can look back and maybe somebody hears it 2 years from now, and maybe they can apply it to their own lives and what they're going about feeling, lonely or helpless or any of that per se, and that's how it's relatable, because we all know that music is an art, and everybody interprets 10 different people can interpret one song, differently, because it is an art and we can look at it in a different way. So it'll carry through the years no matter what.
I hope so. I hope it's just not that song that goes, oh yeah, that's that COVID-19 song.
Not at all. Not at all.
Associated with the pandemic. No, but it's just like you said, the world works in mysterious ways. Like, I did not know I could do this. And I think there being no pressure in it. Like I've been before with labels and things, that we need a song about this, or we need a song about, an upbeat song, we need a sad song, we need a love song. It wasn't about that. It was just like, I'm writing a song about how frustrated I am and how confused and scared I am.
Which is the sentiment of everyone right now. So you mentioned it a little bit. Do you have plans to do more projects like this, more singles, more solo work, any EPs?
I'm actually, yeah. I'm kind of like, well, I might as well just record a few. So I've written like 4 or 5 songs, I got 5 or 6 songs, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to record them, and I'm just going to release it. Probably try to release a little EP, the quarantine sessions, basically. I mean, that's what it is because I'm doing everything myself. I'm kind of obviously Marshall engineering it, but he lives in my house, so I'm like, we're already quarantined together.
Oh, yes.
Let's go quarantine over there. So, but so I'm, writing other songs. But see, now it's kind of weird. It's like now I kind of feel pressure. I'm like, well, the song's actually, way beyond my expectations. So now, like, I got to follow this up. I got, it's got to be better than every song's got to be better than the last, right? I mean, that's your goal.
Well, I don't know. I think maybe you found the answer and the key to it because you had no expectations, doing this whatsoever, and everything fell into place. And, I think that's how it seems like that's how the timeline has went for you. There was no expectations, for you to join the band 11, and it was already a band that you loved. And I mean, how it just seems like your story, everything has just kind of fallen into place. And maybe the key is what you've already said to me. There was no expectations. There wasn't any pressure, set up. It is what it is, and here it is. So there's your key. Your key is yourself there, it sounds like.
It's just funny, going back to, like, the whole 11 thing, like, buying that cassette on my drive to California. It's like, how did I know to get that cassette and listen to that?
Right.
And know every song in and out, inside and out. And then for their drummer to leave and them to go in. I mean, it's just like, it is like a movie. I mean, it really is. There's just a lot of, because I've got, and then not to mention, I've got the stories from the road for days.
You need to write a book. That's what you need. It's like a memoir.
I've had a lot of friends of mine tell me that because, I've got so many crazy, events that's taken place in my life. And from this little kid who wanted to do this in Oklahoma and just, like, going for it. And it is, it's like a movie, like a rock star kind of like type of movie kind of thing of, like, country boy doing it, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I've enjoyed my life so far, so it's been fun.
You could write the Coffee House Memoirs because, that was what it was supposed to be. That's what you thought the direction was.
Well, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to open up a coffee shop, and I'm going to sell it at the coffee shop for sure. Because my whole idea of the coffee shop was being from this little town and it's almost right across the street from my mom's diner where I grew up washing dishes and peeling potatoes my whole life as a child, basically, and dreaming of doing this. And, like, how cool it would be to come back and have that place and put, like, I've got a bunch of gold records and all my stuff in there and awards and all my cool memorabilia. And then I want to set up a collection of about 500 vinyl records, classic records, so kids can go in there and listen to vinyl records. Like thumb through, like back in the day when you could go to a music store and thumb through records, like go through and actually pull in a record. But, like, I've met so many kids that's never even listened to a vinyl record. I'm like,
I'm sure.
I know. But to have that in a coffee shop, I think that's a perfect marriage of vibe. I was like, yeah. And then, of course, I got that idea, and then they legalized marijuana, and the only place in town opened up right next door. I'm like, oh God, this is too perfect. But no, I'm sure I'm going to write a book. Like I said, I'm going to write a book. I'm just still working on my happy ending. Once that's done, I'll start writing.
Well, it sounds like you've had a pretty happy in between, throughout.
Yeah, so. It's been scary. It's funny because I'm going to be, whenever I do write a book, and I will, I'm going to be very honest about how, like, topsy-turvy crazy this life is in this, because it's weird. It's like all my life I wanted to be a rock star, and finally I accomplished it in Puddle of Mud in the early 2000s, and all of a sudden my industry is hit with, guess what? Your music's not valuable anymore. It's free. And you're like, wow. So it felt like a coal miner. Like all of a sudden your industry's dead.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's like, wow. And then so we can tour. So that's how we make money. Well, now took that away from us. So this is going to be devastating to a lot of musicians. I mean, it is. It's going to be hard.
It'll be back. It'll be back no matter what the timeline of events are.
Yeah, like I said, the human spirit's too strong. We'll be back, and our love for concerts and live entertainment. And just one thing is, like, we've gotten a little taste of what life is like without human interaction. And so, I think everybody can appreciate society a little bit more and just be appreciative of being close to someone, not to touch, but just being in a venue, a sporting event, a movie theater, whatever it might be. Although I do hope that the drive-in movies come back. That would be awesome because I love drive-in movies.
Oh, I'm sure. And trust me, a passionate music fan like myself, it's I definitely don't want to jump into things, head first and not go when it's safe. But no, and I was talking the other day. I said, I just hope. I see all these people missing the live shows. I just hope when it comes back, people that actually click the going button to the events actually, have an appreciation for what it's like to not go and show up more than just clicking the button and go. So hopefully this is kind of the reset button for the live shows. Because, I talk about live shows a lot, and I think there's, younger kids see YouTube and they're still watching YouTube. There is nothing like being at a live show. It's not like watching. I'm a YouTube nerd. I love music videos, and I would watch for hours, but there's nothing like the vibe you get at a live show. And I talk about that on my show quite frequently. So the love for is strong.
That all comes from the audience. All of that, not the band, because the audience is where the energy is created. And that's where you're feeling that togetherness of all those people, that you are in this room with like-minded people that are enjoying this, all enjoying the same thing together, and the band is feeding off of that. And that's why some shows, bands will be have on nights where they're just on it because the crowd, the energy is just so intense, and you can't replicate that sitting at home watching it. You need to be around those people to feel that, because where else, you go to a concert of a band you love, and it's so cool to be around a bunch of people that love that same band.
Of course.
So you don't know any of these people, but like, man, we've got something in common. Especially the more obscure the band, even the better. You're like, oh my God, we must really, be simpatico. We would be best friends, but because I everybody's so much nicer, well, for the most part, as long as they're not drunken idiots. But,
right.
to most people, because you're there enjoying the same thing.
So then I have to ask, you've been performing for over, with bands for over 20 years. Well over 20 years. Do you still, no matter what band you're with, or even in the solo, project, do you still feel those vibes from the fans every time you get up on stage? Or, I'm sure it's like any job, some days are better than others, but do you still get that energy from the fans and the energy from playing music?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's kind of, the only time I don't is when this, obviously, like TV kind of performance in front of a live audience kind of thing, or you play some gigs where the crowd is like 50 feet from you, some places, but especially and it's funny, I get it more intense the smaller the venues, the more intense, the more I get. It's not a nervousness, it's an energy. It's kind of like in a cage, kind of like waiting to get out kind of thing. That it gets exciting. So, because I tell people, it's if I wish I could give you what I feel for a moment, just so you could feel what this is like. And then you'll see why I'm addicted to doing this. Why I can't stop doing this. Unless I physically can't do it. But I'm addicted to this, the energy of it, just the pride, the especially banging on the drums and the sweating and an hour and a half and just going crazy. And when the way you feel when you walk off stage, it's wow. You're just drained. You take a shower, you just lay down. It's just that just happened,
Well, to flip the switch, that's how the fans feel too. Don't get me wrong, I've been to a many Three Doors Down concerts myself, and any concert whatsoever, that's the vibe we feel. So I think, the bands are bouncing it off of us, and we're bouncing it back at them, and that's exactly how we feel. So, the energy, and I think that's why live shows are amazing. It's unfathomable. There's no other explanation, way to explain it to people. How what you're doing is how we're feeling too. So.
Yeah, and we're going to have them back. I mean, it might take some time. We might have to go through some baby steps to have some, like, you know, like 3,000 capacity place with only 500 people or something,
right.
You know, just at first to get back. But it'll get back. I mean, I have to believe it will. I mean,
oh, I do too.
I mean, if we it might get to the point where we just all risk it and just say, "I'm going to a concert. I don't care." You know, who knows? I mean, like if Zeppelin's getting back together, I'm going. I don't care. I'm going to make this show.
So I guess on a tentative basis, obviously, depending on what happens, what are your plans for the rest of 2020 that you can discuss at this point?
Well, obviously continue working on a few of these songs, finishing this up, and then after that, I mean, I don't know what Three Doors. We've had a couple of Zoom writing sessions, but it's just a little strange. It's not the same, obviously, like delays and weird things. We need to be in a room, but I mean, I'm pretty sure. I can't say for certain, but I can't imagine us playing any more shows. I don't know. I mean, who can say that they're playing the show right now?
Right,
you know?
right.
So I can't really say anything like that. But I might go back to Oklahoma and continue working on my coffee, place. It's like, just kind of getting some of the construction remodeling done. I don't know, but it's probably going to be a lot of writing because that's been really enjoyable for me.
Right.
Just really having the freedom of like, man, if I'm going to do my own EP, I'm going to do, I mean, who knows what song. I mean, some songs might sound kind of country western. I don't know. I don't have a style. I don't have a thing.
But that's how it should be, Greg. It should be whatever makes you happy. That's what you should be doing. So, if you feel like playing a metal song, freaking play a metal song. It's whatever makes you happy in the end.
Well, I wrote a song the other day, and Marshall, the guy, the engineer, he loved it. And I was like, it almost sounds like an old, like Buddy Holly song or Fats Domino or something weird. It's like old 50s style. And I was like, I don't know, it just kind of sounds cool to me. He's like, it does. It sounds great. Let's try to make it sound 50s. I'm like, all right, it's hand claps and stomps. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I like, if it sounds cool. And the thing is what's, I don't play piano. I only play guitar, or a little guitar, a little bass, drums. So those it's going to be, all the music consists of those instruments. I'm not throwing any crazy synthesizer, piano, and all this sampling. It's just going to be a rock band doing it, basically guitar, bass, and drums and vocals. That's it. And so figuring if Dave Grohl can do it, why can't I?
That's what I was going to say. You can do whatever, and it's like you said in the beginning, it's therapeutic to say how you feel, to play how you feel, and it's for you. Initially, it's for you, but you're bringing what's for you to everyone else, and they're falling in love with it as well. So which makes it just that much better.
I hope so. Yeah, I really, I hope people get a chance to hear it and like it. And like I said, I just want a fair shot, I guess, and just to see if I can get enough people that get into it that I can actually do this on. I'm always going to be on Three Doors Down, but I mean, I've got, writing songs. Like I said, it took 20 minutes, 3 days. I could do it. If I was in charge of making my own record, I could do it whenever I want. I'd probably put out 2 or 3 records a year.
Sure. Why not?
But I mean, I just did it, and I'm doing it right now. It's like it's totally easy to do.
And it's what you like to do.
You just got to have a good song. I guess that's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm. So where can listeners find your single Skin to Skin? Is it all over all digital platforms? Where can people follow you? Are you all over social media as Greg Upchurch Music? Where can everyone find your stuff?
Well, it's on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. I mean, it's on pretty much all the streaming platforms as far as I know. All the ones. I mean, there's so many of them. God, I don't know. But it's on a lot of them. My Instagram, I just started my Instagram about a week ago. and it's Greg Upchurch Music. It's funny, I only got like about 50 followers or 100 followers or something, but I look at my followers and I got Ed Kowalczyk of Live, Kevin Martin of Candlebox. I'm like,
That's
I got
cool.
rock stars following me. This is cool.
Well, you are a rock star.
Yeah, I know, but it's just neat. And then I've got my Facebook, Greg Upchurch Music, and then I do have gregupchurch.com, but that just takes you right now to Greg Upchurch Music. Like I said, this is all new to me, so I'm figuring it all out. I'm going to do my website, but I'm going to get there. I'm doing this, like I said, I don't have, like, going back to the puddle of mud thing when you got all those people working for you and you haven't done anything yet. I'm like, I don't have that. So I'm just doing this myself. But I figure that's what this is all about. This whole thing is about doing it DIY. I mean, I can't rely, I have to do this in my home, so it's
right.
kind of like it's perfectly connected in the sense that I'm stuck in the situation. I'm going to do it all myself, record it all myself, work it all myself, and all from my house.
Well, the stars have aligned so far, so I have no doubt that the stars will not keep aligning because everything is worked out how it's supposed to be, like you've said. So.
Well, thank you so much. I've been just humbled by the whole thing, to be honest. It's been great. Just made me feel, good to be in a time of my life where I couldn't very easily.
I'm completely, and I mean, everyone has felt like that, and no matter what position they've been in, especially, and it is hard, the day to day, because, what are you going to find out? But you bring positivity, with your music that in the lyrics that you've written for people to, hey, that's how I feel. So that's what I'm saying, and I know things will work out and the stars will align, and you'll have to back on when you have a next single, and you'll have to talk to us about it. Because we never know where we'll be. Could be a month from now. Could be 2 months from now. We don't even know where we'll be at that point. So
I know. I got to do a guitar track tomorrow and a vocal track Sunday. I'll be done with the next one. So I've got 3 or 4 done. Three done. So I'm getting there. I'll get there.
I believe so. Well, I thank you for coming on the show, and like I said, come back anytime. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me and promoting this and getting it out there.